Welcome back to another Pokemon Throwback Thursday, where every Thursday morning we take a deep dive into a vintage set. We're going in complete order, so the set we're checking out today is Black and White Next Destinies, and then of course we're going to be checking some more cards from sets that are Sun and Moon and older that have been going absolutely crazy. Same with a couple sealed products too. And we do have to get things to our video sponsor real quick, and that is Punch-Out Gaming. Punch-Out Gaming is my local game store, and it's the #1 game store in all of Minnesota. I've actually been to them all. Nobody can beat the variety. They have a card show like every other month, which I always vend and record at. So definitely check them out. They're only located 30 minutes north of the Twin Cities. I'll have all the links in the description. All right, let's get started. So we got Next Destinies. This is the set symbol right here. And then it came out February 8th, 2012 with 99 cards plus 4 secret rares. We got some pretty nice EXs. And then we got some very nice full arts. We got the Shaman, Reshiram, Kyurem, Zekrom, Mewtwo, Regigigas, and then we got the 4 shiny secret rares, which these cards are super cool. I know a lot of the newer people do not like these cards because they're not full arts, but still very solid, and they show some very awesome shinies. Like the Hydreigon shiny is just crazy. That green pops. Even the Zoroark with that purple is very nice. We got Emboar and Chandelure. And then if we go to Pokedata here, we got the Zoroark is the most expensive card. I literally could not find any PSA 10 sales for any 4 of these shinies. The only PSA 10 sales that I found were pretty old, to be honest, but they are super tough to grade. I'm going to run through some of these prices here. We got the shiny Zoroark secret rare for $156, Zekrom at $147. We got the Hydreigon secret rare at $127, the Emboar shiny secret rare at $125, the Chandelure secret rare at $110. So definitely the most expensive cards in the set. Then we have the Reshiram EX Full Art at $84, Full Art Mewtwo EX at $82, Full Art Kyurem EX at $66, and the Regigigas at $65. And then Shaman at $38. Then they got a nice Pikachu Reverse Holo. They got a pretty solid Gardevoir that Mrs. Beard loves. The Articuno's pretty nice. Some decent Holos and basic EXs. But the total set value is $1,258 raw. Now we're going to hop to eBay. Just check out some near mint sales. We got the Full Art Mewtwo for $40. The Full Art Reshiram at $41. Another Mewtwo at $35, Shaman at $50. We got a PSA 9 regular Mewtwo EX at $79. We got the Full Art EX Regigigas at $65. Mewtwo EX Full Art PSA 7 at $155. We got another PSA 7 Full Art Kyurem EX at $110. A couple of raw ones at $75, best offer accepted. Reshiram EX Full Art at $140. We got a Mewtwo Full Art at $165, best offer accepted. We have another one that says $575, best offer accepted, which doesn't make sense. The pictures look exactly the same. Then we got the Reshiram in a PSA 9 Full Art EX sold for $250. Here we got the shiny Hydreigon at $100 raw. That's not from this set. We got another Hydreigon at $75. I swear about 90% of the people in the hobby right now, if they were looking through some bulk, mid-era stuff and they seen these cards, they wouldn't even know what these are. That's why it's important to know all of these cards, because you could find, a $100 raw card in some common bulk from, the mid-era. So you got to know this stuff. Then we got the Zekrom Full Art at $135, another Mewtwo PSA 7 at $130. And here we got a PSA 8 Hydreigon Shiny at $190, best offer accepted. And then we even have a $300 raw Zoroark Shiny card, which is kind of crazy. Next, we're going to hop to Alt, check out some PSA sales. We got a PSA 9 Emboar at $300. That was the most expensive sale I could find. Next, we got the PSA 8 Hydreigon Shiny at $170. Then we have the Zoroark here. We got a PSA 9 that sold for $420. And then we have the Full Art Zekrom here in a PSA 9 at $900. Couldn't really find a recent sale and a 10 for that one. But we do have a 10 for the Shaman EX. That sold for $1,300. Then we have another 10 for the Kyurem EX, which sold for $2,800. It says on here there's only a pop of 17 in a 10, 79 in a 9, and 68 in an 8. Next, we have the Reshiram EX. This thing is super cool. I have a few of these raw, but in a 10 sold for $3,495 with a pop of 7 in a 10, 66 in a 9. Like I always say, alt pops can definitely be a little bit off. Next, we even have a PSA 10 basic Mewtwo EX. Sold for $492. Not too bad. $480 before that. And then we have the Mewtwo. Sold for $7,281 with a pop of 13 in a 10, 148 in a 9, 2 in an 8.5, and 127 in an 8. Pretty crazy. The sale before that was $2,536. Pretty nuts for a basic full art that most people nowadays wouldn't care for. Next, we have the Next Destinies booster pack. Last sold 90, 99, 81, 110, 100, 65, 78, 115. Next, we have the Next Destinies booster box. We just had a somewhat recent sale at $5,200. Not too bad for that box. It's a super nice looking box. But right next, we're going to be checking out some promos just because we have so many promos going absolutely crazy right now. We got a ton of people making videos about them. So we're going to run through some from sets that are Sun and Moon and older. So we have the Moltres, Zapdos, and Articuno GX Stained Glass Birds Tag Team promo. So this thing was dirt cheap. It was $15 a year ago. We were buying these up at like $10 at one time. Last sold 120, 117, 118, 118. One with the picture at 95, another one at 118. That is a pretty crazy price. So I personally would not pay these prices. I definitely feel like they're going to come back down. I don't think they're going to come back down to where they were, but I could definitely see them being, you know, a $60, $70 promo for this card because the ETB just keeps getting more expensive too. So we got the Hidden Fates ETB right here. So last sold for this is 409, 400, 360, 415, 410. Now this ETB for the longest time could not get over $200. It was so funny. But this is definitely one of the most reprinted ETBs in Pokemon history. This thing got so many different waves just again and again and again. But it is super fun to open. Next, we have the Charizard and Braixen GX Tag Team promo. This was such an underrated one. I mean, it was $20 a year ago. Last sold 105, 93, 95, 100. And you got to remember, the thing about promos is almost all of them are much tougher to grade than any card in an actual set. You got to think, you know, they're sitting in those boxes and tins. Those are constantly getting banged around. The holders that actually hold the promo cards are not the best either. So they're just much, much tougher to grade. That's why I've always been such a big fan of promos. You know, they're so cheap right away because they're promos. But in the future, that box goes up, the promos will follow. And then on top of that, they're super tough to grade. So if you get some 10s, you know, it's very nice. All right, next, we have the Pikachu and Zekrom GX Tag Team promo. So this was at $20 a year ago, got up to 103 in March, back down to 95. Now last sold 200, 175, 148, 154, 125. One with the picture at 195. And like I said, they're tough to grade, so a lot of people right now are hunting for like PSA 10 quality cards. Next, we have the Mewtwo and Mew GX Tag Team promo. Just made a post about this card, along with the other Mewtwo and Mew and the Mewtwo, how they all kind of go together. So this was a $50 card a year ago. Now last sold 240, 220, 250, 240, 180. Next, the Celebi and Venusaur GX Tag Team promo. This one, in my opinion, if you can find this one really clean, I feel like it's still a little undervalued. I think it's one of the best arts too. Last sold 78, 78, 66, 66, 60, 65. Next, another one that I felt like was a little undervalued. This was $15 a year ago. Now last sold 99, 45, 60, 55, 49, 49, 48. Super cool. I like the claymation cards. It's just so nostalgic to me. I know a ton of people don't really care for them, but I think they're cool. Next, we have the Shining Lugia. I think there's also a Shining Ho-Oh promo, but this was $35 a year ago. Now last sold 50, 55, 56, 95, 55, 60, 75, 71. Prices are all over the place. Next, we're going to jump to the XY era. And these are definitely some of the best promos we've ever gotten. Just wish they had some texture. So we got the Pikachu with the Electabuzz and Jolteon in the background. A year ago, this was a $100 card. Now last sold 281, 279, 200, 199, 199, 140. We got a near mint down there at 77, so if you can find this card for a good deal, definitely snag this one. Next, we have the Venusaur EX XY promo with the Scyther and Vileplume in the back. Let me know down below your guys' favorite promo of these 4 X and Y promos. The Pikachu, the Venusaur, the Blastoise, and the Charizard. I would love to know. So this card a year ago was like $70. Now last sold 195, 195, 190, 160, 125 for the picture. Next, we have the Blastoise with the Vaporeon and Gyarados. That's tough to beat. I mean, those 3 Pokemon right there are some of the most popular Pokemon ever. This was $53 a year ago. Now last sold 150, 199, 185, 150, 147, 128, 150 with a picture. And here's a Charizard that has a Flareon and Magmar. So 6 months ago, this was $60. Now last sold 150, 123, 100, 100, 150, 115. I've been obsessed with these cards since they came out. I'm very upset that I do not have the original boxes, which we're going to be checking here in a second. So we have the Tag Team Power Collections. There's 2 of these, one with the Umbreon and Darkrai and the other one with Deoxys and Espeon. Last sold, we have the Darkrai and Umbreon for $960 and another Umbreon and Darkrai for $900. Then we got the Espeon and Deoxys at $900. So they're both basically the same price. Huge fan of these boxes. I also wish I had these, but I opened mine up to get the promos. But you literally get both promos in each box. You get the Espeon and you get the Umbreon in each box, plus some Cosmic Eclipse and other good packs. Next, we have the Tag Team tins, specifically the Pikachu and Zekrom we're going to be checking. But almost all of these tins were literally $100 to $200 when I was talking about them on the channel, and they have gone crazy ever since. The only thing that sucks about them is they reprinted them with some worse packs. You can find these tins with team-up packs in there, which is super crazy. So like I said, the Pikachu and Zekrom last sold $5.99, $5.99, $4.99, $4.48, $3.91, $4.50. So very, very expensive. Next, we have the red and blue collection. So this is where you get the XY promos. Super cool boxes. You get a nice little Charizard statue. You get 4 generations packs and an awesome promo. I just think the whole thing looks super nice for display. Last sold on here is $750, $1,050, $599, and then $736. And to end it off, we're going to check out a couple Japanese promos that I've just been obsessed with. So we got the Reds Pikachu. This is a $120 PSA 10 card for the longest time. Now last sold $360, $359, $346, $325. This card does have a pretty high pop of 13,141 in a 10 and 1,506 in a 9. But it is a Japanese exclusive card, and I just think it is so cool to actually see, Reds Pikachu and stuff like that. It's just super awesome. But all right, that was today's Pokemon Throwback Thursday. Like I said before, let me know your guys' favorite XY promo from those 4. And then 2, if you guys like this content, please make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a like and comment. And if you guys want to support more, you can check out my Instagram, my TikTok, or my YouTube membership. It's only 99 cents a month. But all right, I want you guys to have a great day, and make sure you guys do not miss my last Pokemon What If Wednesday or my last Market Monday. I had some crazy guest stars in the video when I was filming them at Card Party, so definitely check those out. But all right, we'll see you next time.